Welcome to the automation testing with frameworks session 3. Like last week we had orientation session followed by two sessions like session 1 and session 2. Orientation session majorly for the, if anybody is new today, just quick recap. Orientation session was mainly to talk about what we're going to do in for the next good 35 to 40 sessions in the Selenium WebDriver framework developments, continuous integration, continuous deployment tools, Jira, like Jenkins, Maven, and then talking about repositories like Git and GitLab tool. Again, GitLab is another tool for continuous integration. So GitLab. Then talking about we're going to look at some of the behavior-driven development tools like Cucumber. Talk about test-driven development, behavior-driven development, and we'll also understand things like robot framework, etc. So, and then in last session, predominantly, I started introducing to one of the tool called Selenium IDE, which is a popular tool when it comes to Selenium. People generally use it for recording and playback of the scripts. So this is the sheet which we refer to the topics. So we started with the IDE part of it. Anybody like had a difficulty in working with IDE? People who attended. Okay, still Srinivasa, like just to answer your question, we are doing 2 more free sessions today and the next one, and then we will start with the paid sessions. Okay, so what is that? No, it was good. I mean, okay, so basically you're able to work with the tool. That's how I look at it, right? So 2 tools that I have introduced. One is the Selenium IDE, which is basically an extension to Firefox browser. So all you have to do is, first of all, you need to have a Firefox browser. Again, just quickly to get the benefit of the people who missed. We'll quickly look at that and then we'll move forward. So if you have a Firefox browser, then there is an add-on called Selenium IDE here. All you have to do is you have to just go to Google and type Selenium IDE for Firefox. And then you have to just add it to the Firefox add-ons list. So it will come like add to Firefox. Since it's already added, I'm getting remove. And once you have, then this tool will be available for you. And this is the new features that they have recently implemented, like opening an existing project or creating a new project or record directly on a new project, things like that. We created a project last week. This is the AnyAUT application. And we just recorded some script on this, right? So when you recorded the script, it looks like just simply using some commands. These are called Selenese commands on which target, which locator that you're going to work on it. And things like text box and all will have some name or a value being entered. For example, in email ID, name, I have entered name. In case of a phone number, there is some phone number. And in case of a message, there is a message. So this is what we have just recorded. Hopefully it should be working. Just we'll quickly play back once. Right, you can see all the steps completed and everything is green, and you can see at the bottom this test is completed. So this is where you can see the log. If there are any steps that got failed, you will come to know from this. And what is most important in this is this, how this target is getting identified. So we're going to spend some time today and then we'll start with the WebDriver as well. So, but when we go into WebDriver, we are going to write a program on all these things: how to use ID, how to use CSS, how to use XPath, how to use a name for an identification. So we're going to look at all of that. But most important is like just if you select any line, then you will see those same different options here. Like CSS, XPath, and wherever ID is there, the ID also will be part of it. And I told you like what is this? For example, on the Firefox browser, if you right click on a locator, like right now I'm in the name text box, just right click on it and say inspect element, then you will see the HTML source code of that particular page, and in that you'll see the information very specific to the text box. The tag is input, ID is name, and it belongs to a class called form control, and then there is a required attribute is empty, and then there is a name which is empty, and type is a text box. So there is an order of preference we are going to do. Like if there is an ID, then you don't need to really look up to anything. You can simply use ID. And that's why all the brand new projects, we strongly work in close with the development team, and will ensure every control or locator is provided with a unique ID so that our automation will be easy. But a lot of times we work in maintenance projects. That means development completed last year or a few months back, and they don't want to touch the code and provide IDs for it, so they have to live with it. That's when we will be using the other options like XPath, CSS. But things like this class, we cannot really dependent on it because there could be another text. Let's go to the other text box and see what is a class of that. Even that class is also same form control, but this is more like an email. But form control is same for both of. This is also form control. This is also form control, and this type is also like okay. So this is of type email type text box, but the first one is like a normal text box. That means nowadays most of the web technologies and application development technologies has an email ID kind of a control, where automatically if you give a proper email ID format only it will accept, otherwise it won't accept. But if you look at in the 10 years back, or when during the VB development time 15 years back, it was both of them were like text box, and developers have to write the code for this. Developers have to write the code in the form of to accept a valid email ID. That means they have to write a regular expression to see only alphanumeric characters are entered, and there should be an @ and there should be again an alphanumeric character followed by a domain name like .com, .in, .ac.in, things like that. Nowadays nobody's doing that for the last 10-15 years. It's an email ID control. All you have to do is the developer has to choose that this is an email ID control. The validation and all the corresponding technology will take care of it. If it is PHP will take care of it. If it is ASP.NET will take care of it. And it's a good relief from the testing point of view, because you don't need to test any of those combinations, because the people who developed this locator itself would have been taken care of all that. So those kind of types, even though both of them looks like a text box, but this is a plain text box and this is an email type of text box. So is the difference clear in terms of like type? Because we need to know for automating any application, what are the different type of locators that it consists of, and what are the different operations it supports, like entering the text box or getting the text box, or I may need to simply compare this value is matching with whatever is there in the database or not. So those kind of things we're going to do it. There are some attributes that share the same. Yes, different locators do have attributes common. For example, this is also input. Even the previous one is also an input type of text box, right? Class type is also pretty much same. This is also form control. Previous one is also form control. See, when we did a recording, or we are going to do it in the WebDriver program, this is the challenge. The challenge is that you have your automation tool and you have your application. When suppose we are going to write the program in the WebDriver manually, the challenge is to, let's say here is a text box and there is one more text box. Both are of same size. For look and feel, your developer will obviously provide same height, same width, same type he will choose. So almost things are all same. Then how do you identify this locator versus this locator, and you write the program so that when you run your automation, for example, the first line is more of this name, and second line is more of email. So how can the tool differentiate between these two, or how can we as a test engineers see what are the different unique properties and how they can be identified unique, and according to that we have to write the program. First one for the name, second one for the email, so that when you run the program, the first line will go and play back only on the name, not on the email, and second line is going to go and play back on the email, not on the name. So that is a challenge that we all have to go through, identify what properties it has, identify taking common properties won't help. If you take things like input, both of them are input, then your tool will confuse. Hey, you're asking me to enter some input to an input box as Shankar, but there are two input boxes. One is name and email. So which input box I should enter? So tool will confuse and it will fail. When it comes to Selenium, it's slightly interesting. Other tools will actually fail, be it an HP UFT or be it a very important point that I'm talking about. Other tools, if there is a confusion for the tool, if there are more than one text box and you're asking to write something to a text box, script will fail. But the way Selenium works is, if there is more than one text box, it will simply go and write to the first text box in the HTML DOM. We call it like document object model. In this HTML document object model, whichever the text box comes first, it will go and write to that. That means first line also works on the first text box, second line also works on the first text box only, if the input attributes are same. Is this point clear for everyone? If two attributes are having two locators are having same set of attributes, and when you're running the script, if more than one will match, Selenium always works on the first object in the document object model, the HTML document object model. Remember this point, the script is not going to fail. So first line, second line, both will work on the same text box if you give a property which is not unique. So that's why to differentiate this, what we'll do, we'll see what is the unique attribute for this. Like we have many attributes, as you can see in the code: ID, name, class type. We have like, is it a required attribute or not? Is it a single line or a multi-line? Sometimes we'll have that. Things like type. So if you look at these properties for both the controls and pick up the unique property, and if you can write the code according to that, then it will work on the unique object. For example, for the name, you have taken ID as a name, then it's going to work on name. If you have taken email ID as an email, then it's going to work on the email. But a lot of times you may not have the straightforward ID, the straightforward type, or only type will be there. ID may not be there. So that's when will talk about other alternative options that we have. So this is with respect to locator identification. This is like locator identification strategy is what we call. And so if it is a brand new project, you better work with your development team, ensure every locator is provided with a unique ID. So our automation will be very easy. But for maintenance projects, we have to use XPath or CSS, etc. Okay, so this is one script that we have just quickly recorded and played back in Selenium IDE. So do spend some time in just creating few scripts and playing back. It should not really, do not spend too much of energy on this because this is not the critical area. The other one that I have explained is on the Chrome. If you are using a Chrome, even Selenium IDE is available for Chrome as well. But there is a better one called Catalan Recorder, which I have explained. So again, just go to your Chrome browser and just say Catalan Recorder. Okay, this is more like zooming off too much. So just go to Catalan Recorder and add this to your browser. Again, since it's already added, I'm just getting like remove from Chrome. And this is the same similar tool like what we just saw in the IDE or in the Firefox. And this is one of the script we just recorded on the same application. Again, you'll have a recording and just go on recording of all the steps and just to play only the one. Okay, so there's a failure. It's not able to find the features link. For this one, I think I have not included the first step is to launch that application. So let me just open that and try to play back. So you can see there is something like these kind of errors also do happens. It says like element is not currently interactable and may not be manipulated, and it has taken the screenshot. The reason is that you remembered in the last class to show you a failure scenario, I have explicitly changed this one. Anybody can say why it's failing? Especially people who were there in the last class. So I edited this. This is not phone. Ideally, this is C phone. This is the correct one. No, 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 no. It's not that. Okay, somebody saying 10 numbers should enter. That is more like an application behavior, whether you're entering 10 numbers to accept or even for 5 numbers to accept or 6 numbers to accept. That's more like a validation on the application. We are still not there yet. Okay, what is required? Required is like, you will have these mandatory fields, right? For example, you are filling a registration form and this is a required field. It has to definitely be filled. Otherwise, application cannot be submitted. Submit button won't enable. So that's a required field. It's a required field, yes or no. You'll see star marks in a couple of fields. Definitely has to enter. Okay, so I've just fixed it to phone correctly and let's see if it works. Yeah, because of the incorrect target value. So you can see what is happening. This is again one example, just to go back to the previous definition, right? You developed your entire program in the WebDriver or here using these other targets like C email, C underscore phone, C underscore message, C underscore form. And tomorrow a new version of the application comes. A new version of, so we generally call this like automation is what are the challenges with automation is like maintaining the automation script. What is maintaining automation script? Any change in the new version of the application, especially for these target definitions that we have taken, the ID or the name or XPath, whatever. And if, for example, tomorrow, this in the next version of the application, link of pricing gets changed to something like, pricing details or things like features changes, like, something like the silent features. Any change in the link, any change in the ID, or any of this target definition that we have taken is going to result in failure of the script. So obviously, whatever the script that you developed in the version 1.0, you will try to run it in the next version of the application. And when your script fails, you'll go analyze it. Why is this failure? Is it an expected failure? Or is it something like my automation is not able to identify the locator? So you'll go analyze test case by test case why it's failed. If there is a change in the target definition, obviously that's going to fail. But the way we should attack the problem is like we should not wait until the build comes, then you run it and then it fails. Because if there is a change, you will know very well in the development time itself that your development is going to change this. So you can go and fix it in your automation that it is going to become pricing details, not pricing, and it's going to become like silent features, not features. So you can change your automation so that you are ready by the time the new build comes. And when you run it on the new build, the changed value of the target is matching with the what is there on the application. So your automation should pass. But if you are not aware of the change, development team did not inform you, and they have simply changed it in the application. Obviously, when you are going to run your automation, it's going to fail. And when it is failed, you go analyze why it's failed. Then you know, okay, there is a change in the links. If it is not an asked, if it is not an expected change, you're not going to fix your automation. Rather, you're going to log a bug, log an issue saying, I see there is a change of this link. I don't see any change request for this. I don't see any user story or ask from the customer. So you go log it as an issue, and it goes for a triaging and whether it's really required or not required. So that's how automation script is going to go through for future versions of it for the maintenance of it. Okay, so just play with these tools, try to record few more tests, try to understand it better, how it is doing for different controls. Try to do it for list box, like drop down, radio buttons, and just see how they are going to be identified. So any questions before we move on to the WebDriver, which is the major component that you're all going to work? Okay, is element not found the only error message received for an incorrect locators? Are there any identification of same? See, that's how that itself is a good indication for us. That means whatever I'm trying to, for example, like previously when I said ID equal to C email, so you will see an error here. The corresponding element is incorrect, or element not found. That means the target column is very important. Whatever we are using in the target column corresponding to that, like ID with a C email, there is no object on the application. Entire HTML, Selenium and Catalan went like, just right click on this and see view page source. Then you will get to see right from the top of this HTML source code. It went through this entire document object model of this particular page, and it did not find any object matching to that ID, which is C email. So all the objects are here, right? I mean, everything will be under this particular code. So it went through this entire code and could not find anything that is matching to the ID of C email. So then now you go and identify what is a locator that you are going to work on it. Okay, there are a few good features. For example, here you can do one thing. For example, you're saying you don't know where is this object, right? So there is a simple option here called select an element of the current command. If you just, okay, let me, okay, I'm here. Ideally, it should be highlighted on that particular thing. Um, Suppose if I just say no. If we just take one page, and ideally it should highlight that particular link. So for that, select a target element for the current command. Okay, sorry, this is the one. So can you see, just see when you click on the search button, you can see it's getting highlighted. It's kind of telling you this is the one. So anytime you can confirm with this, is it matching to the right object or not? And then you can write the code accordingly. But simple error like element not found, definitely that is good enough for us to say that element is changed. So go figure it out. What are the new properties, and code accordingly. How do you go for the new object? What is changed? For example, phone number information got changed. Again, you will do a inspect element and then see what is okay. For the Chrome, I have not shown you. Every browser will have this inspect element or inspect option. So in case of a Chrome, like we saw in the Firefox, the way it comes, like if you are anywhere, for example, you wanted to see what is remove properties, you'll just say inspect element, then you can get to see the properties like this. This is a link actually. Even though it looks like a button, it's not a button. It's a link. Anything as anchor tag, a tag is a link, right? And when I try to do this on here, it's, you can see the properties in Chrome. You can see the properties over here, something like it's an input, type 1 tel, TL, and these are the property. ID is cphone. So you can see same information whether you do it on Firefox or you do it on Chrome or you do it on Internet Explorer or Edge. The same information, you will get to see that. And all the things that we're talking about, we're going to learn it quickly, like the X path. Like you can just do a right click over here. We have this X path. Okay, I should not tell all these shortcuts actually. So we'll write X path. We'll get our hands dirty by learning it in a hard way. Then I'll show you some simplest ways of simply getting the X path and using it in the code. Anyway, so as somebody asked, like what I should do if an object got changed, that's what you're going to do. You're going to learn it and see what are the new information that's there, and then we'll use that in the program. Okay, so, and I told you some simple options after you do a development of this code here. Just click on export button. Then you have simply the code is going to come in the form of Java WebDriver, and you can copy it from here and use it in the WebDriver code or anywhere like C#, Visual Studio, wherever. So it has a C# format. It has WebDriver, Java format, Python format, Ruby format, all this robot framework format. Okay, so just do spend, and if there are, in case of any questions, let us know from the Catalan Recorder. But let's start looking into the next one. Basically, sorry, not this for sure. Yeah. So assume that you will be able to create some test case and test suites, and you understand the different locator identifications that are coming in the target. Just try to see for different locators how they're going to come, and then you can convert that code into the different formats. So that helps us to start with the WebDriver. So WebDriver is a main thing we're going to spend all the next good 30 sessions, 35 sessions is majorly on the WebDriver, not on the IDE that we just discussed. And even in real time, whole program, you're going to write it in the WebDriver and run it through that tool, or you may run it in the CI/CD like GitLab or a Jenkins tool. So let's start with that. Now to start with the WebDriver, the very first thing that you require is your machine should have the Java. First of all, the Java needs to be installed. So when it comes to Java, because the development program that we're going to use for writing the code is Java, and parallelly Java sessions are also going on. Karthik is taking the core Java session, so do attend that. But I will also cover in this program what is that is required from the Java perspective, from the automation perspective, depending on the scenarios that we are going to automate. So we'll also be looking at, for example, mostly what you need is when it comes to the program, you need to know definitely some of the fundamentals of the program, object-oriented concepts like what is a class, what is an object, how we are going to write a method, how we are going to pass parameters and return the value from that, how do we do validations. Definitely we're going to deal with the different operators like conditional operators, assignment operators, comparison operators. These are more important in the QA validation, right? We're going to work with the different operators. We're going to work with conditional statements like if conditional statement, things like switch case statement. So we're going to work on these conditional statements. We're going to work on control statements and iterations like loops. For example, there is a list box, and my job is to go to every item in that list box and see how my application reflects it. If that is my test case, then I need to write a for loop to go to each item and do the job. Or if I have a test case to check whether this particular item is present in the list box or not. So first of all, I need to know how many items are there in the list box. Then I'll write a code to go to each one of them and see whether this item is present in the drop down or not. If it is present, then my test case is passed, otherwise failed. Or you may be like, we're going to write some of the test cases like identify all the links on the web page and ensure each of the link is working fine, not broken. Then again, you're going to write some loop statements to go through all of that. So we need conditional statements, control statements to do the job. We should understand to an extent of inheritance, because we're going to create multiple classes, and we'll try to call the objects and the methods from one class into another class when we develop frameworks. So that is required. We'll even talk about things like design patterns, a bit of it, like something called page factory. So when we develop page object model, we're going to use something called page factory way of calling the objects and methods from one class into another class. So it requires an extent. So I'll take care of all that as we start writing. Like for example, today's scenario is to go and identify all the links on a page and run it. So then all the things that are required for that, how to define a method, how to write a loop, how to return the value and compare the return value, all that. So I'll take care of based on this need and day-to-day sessions. But learn as a program also important. So parallelly see if you can learn that. So Java needs to be installed. And when it comes to Java, like we have two major things. One is like JDK, Java Development Kit. You're going to develop the programs, you're going to debug the programs, you're going to troubleshoot the programs, you're going to not just run it. If it is just run it, actually from a Java, this is good enough. Java runtime environment, where you just install the JRE and run the program. If somebody else has given the a jar file, and you have to just run the Java runtime file, so we call it like .jar file, Java runtime file. Then just JRE is enough. But here you're going to develop the program, you're going to write the program. So definitely JDK is required, not just the JRE. Okay, so we need to install the Java, and then we need to install IDE. When I say IDE, development environment, it's not Selenium IDE, it's more like a development tool. And the popular development tools when it comes to Java, one is the Eclipse IDE, and there is something like IntelliJ. Okay, IntelliJ is also another tool. As previously somebody asked, I'll definitely show towards the end how to use this tool as well, and maybe one or two sessions on that for the benefit of the people who want to use it. But most of our developments is going to be on the Eclipse to start with. Okay, so we need an installation of the Eclipse IDE. Then we're going to configure WebDriver interface with the Eclipse. So till now, you saw, we just recorded few programs and we played back. They were actually, so this is your recorder tool like Catalan Recorder or Selenium IDE, and this is your browser. So they were directly like working on the browser. But what is going to happen now is we're going to use this Eclipse tool, and this is your browser. Again, any browser, Firefox or Chrome or Edge browser, different browsers we're going to write. We're going to write the program once, and the similar program with one or two lines of code change, you should be able to run it on different browsers as well. But it is not going to be directly working on the browser, so there is some interface comes in between now, because the program that you're going to write is extracted by this interface or analyzed by this program, and this program will execute it on the browser. So this is how it's going to work. So Eclipse IDE will come into picture, and WebDriver comes in between as an interface. Interface is general simple English terminology, right? It's an interface between your program and the browser that you're going to work on, the target tool that you're going to target browser that you're going to work on. So WebDriver is called interface. This, according to that, will write the program, and it will analyze which locator that it will have to work according to ID, name, XPath, whatever we just discussed. And then what are you instructing in the program? Like what you're asking to do. Are you asking to enter some value, or asking to click on something or select something? According to that operation, it will try to identify that locator on the browser based on the unique identification mechanism that you have given. and tries to perform the operation on the browser. So from now, this is how it's going to work. Previously, we just recorded and played back directly on the recorder tool. So first step is to develop your program, and then WebDriver, when you run it, WebDriver, of course, this all happens in the backend, but to understand the architecture. So there is a WebDriver interface will analyze your program. If you don't have WebDriver interface and you're just coding that in the Eclipse, then we'll see what kind of errors you will come. WebDriver is not there. You have not configured to Eclipse, but you have written the programs and it won't even understand. Java won't even understand that. And it doesn't know what to do. It'll throw all the errors. And once you start configure your WebDriver, sorry, here we're missing this. Once you configure your WebDriver, then it will understand what you're trying to instruct and it will try to play back it on the corresponding browser. So these are the three important things that we need to start work with. So any questions? We need a Java JDK, we need an Eclipse IDE, and we need to configure that WebDriver with the Eclipse Java project. For every project, you need to do this. If it is a brand new project that you're going to work on, it's not to the Eclipse IDE. It's basically to the Java project in the Eclipse IDE. That means each project should have your WebDriver interface configured. If you just did it in project 1 and go to project 2, it's not applicable because you have to do it again for the project. Okay, so coming to the installation of the Java. Let me just try something. So all I'm going to do is I'll just go to command prompt and see one important thing. Do I have an existing Java? I can simply type java-version, and if there is a Java on my machine, it will tell me what is that, and it's a little older version. Definitely we have to upgrade it. So it will tell you what is the version that's available and if it is available or not. If there is no Java available, then you will get an error saying Java is not recognized as an internal or an external command. This line will be errored out. That's fine, Suvarna. You can still have IntelliJ, but most of our discussion will be on the Eclipse. So you can have both as well. There's nothing wrong. It's more like uh, how the UI is configured, right? For example, there are differences how an application gets displayed on a Firefox versus Chrome. So you need to know those UI options to get familiar. Okay, so if you do not have Java, you will obviously get an error saying that Java is not recognized as an internal or external command. And then what you can do, just simply go to Google. You can say Java download, and you can be more specific on like which operating system that you have and for which version. But that's like we'll say Java download JDK specifically. So when you do this, it's all open source. All the technology that we're going to work here is on open source. So that's exactly what I'm coming to. So the moment you type Java download JDK, so it takes you to a website, Oracle Technology. You will come over here and you'll just go into the download section. And you need to identify what is your operating system, whether it is a Windows 64-bit operating system, a 32-bit. I don't think we have any 32-bit now, but you can see over here directly binary exe or binary zip file. More than that, first you should actually accept this license agreement. So there was a small radio button. So accept that license agreement, and then see which is the right version for you, whether it's like Linux, Mac, or Windows. So since mine is a Windows 64-bit operating system, I'm just going to click on this. And this is going to download it. We should also do one more thing. Once we do this, it's part of this actually. Need to set the environment variable for the Java location. So I'll explain what is this, but we need to do this as well. Okay, so after that, you're going to simply run this. You will have a location where it is going to do it. Okay, just let me do it anyway. I need to upgrade. So this is going to tell you which development kit version that you're using and the default location where it is going to install. And then it says it's successfully installed. So this is more like for tutorials, documentation, developer guidelines. You can just click on the next steps, but otherwise you can just click on close. So it's that simple, but just picking up the right location is most important. You know, just type in the Google as this Java download JDK. Go with the first URL. Then you will click on the download section and do accept this license agreement. Pick up the right version, download it, and install. Okay, so there's a question like, will you be sharing this document of installation? These videos will be available to you, the members of the IDE Learn. It's more like you will, but yeah, I mean, I should be updating the doc and telling you, kind of sending you. Let me just show you how the way we used to do. So just kind of more of talking about what is WebDriver and installing Java on the computer. But these are a little bit of, I need to update the screenshots a bit because you saw a little bit of change in that. But otherwise, yes, we would like to go to an extent like this. Okay, how soon the videos will be available? It will be in the ideally like just 3 to 4 hours max from the session completed. It should be available. And once you log in into the website, you'll be able to see the latest batch timelines or batch name, and then you'll be able to pick up from that. Okay, so the next section is basically like talking about this Eclipse. So we just did with the Java, but we need to set the environment variable. So like, what is environment variables? You can straight away type over here environment variables. There is something called edit the system environment variables, or you can go to this PC, right click on it, go to properties, and then you will see something called advanced system settings. Then you will see something called environment variables. So what is this environment variable section in your operating system is that some of the softwares, like especially in case of Java, what we are going to do is like I have a previous variable set And if you see what it is actually trying to refer, it is trying to refer as Java underscore home. And I'm trying to say this is where the Java is available on this machine. Because while installing the Java, you saw you can choose the installation location, and different people can have it in different locations. So your system needs to know, your computer needs to know, or your whenever you instruct in the command prompt, or whenever you create a Java project in the development environment like Eclipse or IntelliJ, it should by default know which is the Java version that should be used. And sometimes you may have more than more than one version available. So which is the default one that you wanted to use? Where is the Java available? So the default path setting should happen in the environment variables, and according to that, it will pick up. So that's why when I said just without really going into that location, ideally, if you do not set this, what will happen? If you don't set this Java home, and if I just simply remove this variable, I simply typed it from C drive Java version. Then also it explained your Java version is this, and it also kind of explains you where it is, C colon program files, etc. But if this path is not set, and if you type from C drive or D drive or any other command prompt location, it cannot understand. So to understand the Java version, you have to navigate to this location basically. You have to navigate to this location, which is like C drive program files in the command prompt. And that's where you have this Java. So now whatever the one that we just installed is here. This is like 12.0.1. So which one you want to go for it is also matters, whether you're going to go this or you're going to go this. So according to that, you have to specify the path here. For example, if I specify the latest one, whatever we just installed. So, okay, since I know the path, I already directly went, but mostly like, it will be near C drive, C colon, program files. Then you will see a variable folder created called Java, and then you will see all the JDK, and if you have installed JRE, then you will see all that. So if you want to give this is the path, then you can just copy this path. Okay, most of you might not even have a variable created like Java home, right? Because previously, if you do not have, then you will not have this. So what you do, you come to this environment variable section. How did we come to this environment variable? Right click on your My Computer properties, and then you go to, okay, just quickly. So you come over here, you did right click on your My Computer properties, then you come here, advanced system settings, environment variables, and especially the below one, the system variables, you will simply click on a new variable if it is not there, and then you will type like Java underscore home, and then you will give that path which I just copied. Any questions in setting this environment variable? So from all the development environments from now, when you refer Java by default, especially anywhere in the system from command prompt, if you just type Java, do this, then it is going to pick up this Java version from your JDK and start performing the actions. Best example, which I just like Java version. I'll do one thing. I will, so we cannot have two variables. You cannot give two Java homes, right? You have to definitely have only one. So let's come over here and edit this with the latest version that I just provided. Click OK. Now what should happen? If I just type Java ifn version, I'm still getting this. That is because of the existing command prompt. Mostly it should solve if I open a new command prompt and type Java ifn version. Okay, so this is still referring because there is a class path also I need to change. So one is this Java home, and just see if there is So in this path also there will be one variable. So if you can, the moment you click on path, there are a lot of things. Different programs have different path. For example, this is something related to Python. If you have Python on your machine installed, you are going to say where is the Python available. And if you're going to have, let's say, something related to Wi-Fi, something related to Git, the source control management tool that I was talking about, something related to PowerShell on my machine. So there are different things. And when it comes to the Java, you see here. So in this path, the one that we just went, C drive, program files, and then we went to the folder like, sorry, Java, and this is the one that we wanted to work. If you go into that folder, you give this as a home path, and there is one more variable that you have to give. We call it like a class path, and that's what I'm trying to set right now. And for that class path, you have to go one more level down, like, you have to go into this bin and you have to give this path. Is everybody following or any difficulty? So two paths that you're going to set. One is Java home path, that home path just up to here. And there is one more variable called class path, we call it like, and that class path should go up to bin. And previously, if you see, it's referring to C colon program file Java JDK this version / bin, which I'm going to edit that, and edit will just make it like this, and then you're going to put the new version of it. So these two things that I'm going to change. One is the home variable, another one is class path. And after that, it's anyway better. Just close the command prompt. Okay, I need to see from where this is still referring. But those are the two things that you're going to change. Once if you have more than one version, then this is a kind of issue. But you're going to start freshly. You're going to install one version. Then you will not have. So I'll fix this by tomorrow. But for you, it should be straightforward. You just install, set the home path, and set the class path. Then you should be fine. Fine. Any questions on installing the Java? And setting the environment variables. Now let's look at installing the Eclipse IDE. For that, you can just again go to Google, just say Eclipse download for okay, so Rajeshwari confirms like even she has more than one, but it's picking up the latest one. So I need to look at from my side what's happening. So let's look at this Java download, Eclipse download for Enterprise Edition developer. So this is the right way to search for it, because the moment you go for Eclipse, there are many different types of Eclipse tools available. If you just go with the first one, then you will end up into all the categories being displayed, and I'm sure you will have a confusion. Rather, you can search for this way, Eclipse download, for Enterprise Edition developers. It takes us to eclipse.org, and it will take us to download section. And then you will directly land in the right thing that what we need. But if you have simply searched for an Eclipse or Eclipse download, you will land it somewhere here in the download section. And then you will see you can still okay, they are organizing a little better, but you can still sometimes it's displays the different types of Eclipse tools just for management purpose of the code, and one is for obviously for enterprise development. So we were anyway in the right page. So just go to, I'll repeat it. All you do is Eclipse edition, download for enterprise edition developers. Okay, so here you can just pick up again according to your operating system, Windows 32-bit, 64-bit, according to that. Then you can just click on this Windows 64-bit. This is not going to install, rather it downloads as a compressed file, a zip file. But this is going to take a good amount of time, so we'll just say open when done. To show you some of the existing things, how it works, for example, in downloads, so something comes like this, and you will have to extract. So you can use softwares like WinZip, but they are like commercial tools. So if you have WinZip, well and good. Don't have a WinZip, then you can go for this software called 7-Zip, which is a free software for uncompressing the files. So we need this going forward multiple times also. When we download Selenium components, when we download Apache jar file, I mean, a couple of other things that we need it, you will get it in the form of a compressed file, and that compressed file needs to be extracted and start using it. So you can have either WinZip, or you can have the software like 7-Zip. Just go to Google again and say download and install 7-Zip, then you will get this. Once you have this software properly downloaded, the Eclipse downloaded, all you're going to do is go to the 7-Zip and say, go to that location, and then you can say extract the files, or wherever you wanted to extract. Extract the files will ask you for location where do you want to extract. Extract here will simply extract in the same location where you are. If you are in the downloads, it will extract in the downloads itself. If you are in, if you select this, then it will ask you for the destination, and you choose a destination and do it. Okay, so let this go. But basically, like once you have, it will install, it will extract into the location that you have. Let me see where I have. But otherwise, this is the right thing to do. Once it downloads complete, we'll extract it and we'll pick up the one. Mostly what will happen once we have that location, we'll create a shortcut on the desktop. Like, you'll see something like this. This Eclipse is not something that you're going to install. It's more like just extracting the file, and you'll find this Eclipse icon. And then you can create it as a shortcut on the desktop. And going forward, you can just right click on this and say run as administrator. You'll always launch it like simply run as administrator. So is this point clear? What we're going to do with respect to the Eclipse? Just download the software. If I have to tell you, like, so inside a zip file, there'll be an Eclipse folder. After you extract it, you will find a Eclipse folder which contains all the application files, and something looks like this. Once you extract, it looks like this. There will be configuration file, there will be drop-ins, features, and all you have to do is just select this icon and double click on it to launch, or right click and create a desktop icon, and then you can say run as administrator. Okay, so once the tool gets launched, then what we have to do is we need to create some workspace and start creating projects and start working on it. The other one that is required is again, so we did this as well. The third one that we need is, let me do this as well, download. So even this will take time. First, we need to uh, download and configure your WebDriver interface. So while the Eclipse is going on, from where I can download the Selenium, right? So all you have to do is just go to, if you know the website, it's well and good. Otherwise, simply say it's seleniumhq.org, nothing else. But if you can say Selenium download, okay, just search on the Selenium download. It takes you to this seleniumhq.org website, and you are at this download section. The minimum what you need is the Selenium server to start with it, but definitely for the Java, you need Java client bindings also. So first click on this. Right now, the latest version we have is as of today 3.14159. So let's click on that. Again, that also gives a single jar file. We need this. So if you get any these kind of warnings, it says like, this type of file can harm your computer. I mean, you thought that download is going on, but you need to acknowledge this whether you want to really keep or discard. So just click on the keep so that it will go on. We also need the Java client bindings. What is this Java client bindings? Is that in the Eclipse, in which program that you're going to write the code? Is it like, of course, Eclipse is mainly for Java, but whatever the development environment, like some people work with Visual Studio with Selenium, then they're going to write it in C#, right? So depending on the development environment, you're going to download the corresponding client client files. And if you can see over here, the versions that you can see, the number of versions that got changed. Python kind of stable at 3.14, Ruby at 3.14, C# at 3.14. But look at Java. It's going to go through many different versions because that itself is also indicates what is the most popular and people are using it, and a highly changing one. So that is more like Java. So all you do is again click on the download. So right now I already have to download, so that might slow down a little bit of it, but we need to download this as well. Okay, so just do these three things. One is, yeah, it just started now. So this is going to come again like a compressed file, so we need to extract it and do it. So what are all we're trying to do? Three major things. Just install the Java JDK, set the environment variable path, download the Eclipse IDE, and keep it ready. So this takes a good amount of time. Then download the Selenium server file, as well as, so here two things you have to do. One is Selenium server, and other one is like Java client bindings. So two things we need it. Once we have all these three, then we'll be able to configure and start writing the programs. So any questions, or is it clear what to be done before we start kind of coding it in the Eclipse? So some of you might have it already for whatever the reason that you started learning or you downloaded previously. People, especially who are attending for the first time, I know it's kind of too much information for you. So just go do this, set up the things, and in the next class we're going to start writing. Basically, we need to configure. We need to understand few things in the Eclipse, how to create workspace, how to create project. We'll write one simple Java program first to ensure everything is working. Then we'll start working on the WebDriver. Is that fine? Okay. Can you please quickly show the class path setting? Okay, I'll do that. Too much of information. Yeah, I was like, because for the new people, it'll be too much of information. So, okay, so what you're trying to do is go to environment variables, Is it already open? It's open here. In the environment variables, two things are added. One is this system variable Java home. This is called home path. In this, you will only take up to the JDK folder. You don't need to give, like for example, I think this is still searching on. I should stop it. So just go and put this here. So this is one path which you're giving it. That's called Java home path. The other one is Java class path. For that, in your system variables, you'll find a variable called path variable. Okay, this path by default gets added when you install different things in your operating system, like different softwares in your operating system. And especially I'm on Windows 10, so if you select this path and click on edit, then you'll see all the paths available. And there is a path for Java which is going up to this bin. So click on edit, and all you need to do is you have to go one more level down here, bin, and you have to give this path. Okay, cool. So just do these three prerequisites to start with, and we'll definitely look at if somebody is facing an issue while doing that. We'll talk about that. But if everybody is able to do that, then we'll get started with the WebDriver. So I can tell you, people who are serious, want to take up things, I should start practice day by day, because if you keep piling the things, and if you wanted to do over a weekend, or if you wanted to do when you have time, it'll become too much things for you. So just do the things on a day-to-day basis, then it'll be easy for you. I mean, it's not that difficult. So it's initially sounds like difficult, but things will get easy as we go. All right. So any more questions before we wind up for today? Okay. Once you download any software, like especially Eclipse that we just downloaded, I can see over here, for example, this is still going on. Let's not disturb that. But any compressed software, for example, this Catalan Studio, you can see, or Selenium Java, you can see. You have to do a right click and say 7-zip or unzip, extract the files or extract here. Okay, you need it for Eclipse. It's still going on, so probably I'll show tomorrow. Let this complete it. I might have deleted the previous one, but yeah. Sure, we will be sharing the email ID probably in the next session. Once we start with the, uh, if you're a member already, you can definitely write to learn@itlearn.com. And we have a forum as well on the website, itlearn website, so you can post a question there. We will be replying. So all these are the different, mechanisms to connect with us. All right. Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time. So talk to you tomorrow.